Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. You can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. Be seen on WHPR Detroit Live, Comcast Cable Channel 91, on the web at TV33WHPR.com, with the TV33 app, on Roku, Google TV, Apple TV, and on Amazon Fire TV. Act now. Time slots are limited. Sign up today and get a free replay with the purchase of your time slot. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only.
Good morning, Highland Park, and welcome to Highland Park Highlights. I am your host, Rod Liggins. Today is July 12th, 2021, and just when we try to get out of those rains and the massive floods that we've had over the past few weeks, it's rainy again today. So we'll have more on the weather and more talking about how we can recover and clean up and what are the next steps following the floods that we had back on June 26th. But today, let's start with the local news and national news as well. Metro Detroiters shaken by recent flooding will see more rain and storms this week, though extreme rainfall is unlikely. The 7-day forecast shows the potential for thunderstorms through Friday, some bringing heavy rainfall. The forecast follows rounds of rainy weather that led to flooding late last month, shuttering freeways, including parts of I-94 that only recently reopened, and flooding basements and closing businesses. Parts of Metro Detroit received as much as 7 inches of rainfall in 12 hours between the night of June 25th and the morning of June 26th. The amount of rainfall overwhelmed Southeast Michigan's water system infrastructure, and again, we'll have more discussion on that as we go on through the show. A lawyer for an accused bomb maker charged in the Governor Gretchen Whitmer kidnapping case raised questions about whether the FBI is trying to sabotage the defense teams ahead of the landmark trial. A filing by attorney for Delaware resident Barry Croft revealed the existence of a recording in which the lead investigator discussed creating disarray and chaos for defense lawyers whom he labeled paid liars. The request comes despite concerns about the safety of confidential informants and undercover FBI agents who helped infiltrate the alleged plot last fall and whose names will be expected to appear on a witness list. Defense lawyers are not entitled to witness lists in federal court, though judges have discretion to demand the lists be shared during trials. Texas Republicans advanced bills that would make voting harder in a state that already has some of the nation's toughest restrictions after hundreds spoke out against the proposals, with some waiting to speak for almost 24 hours. Republicans made clear they intended to advance a new election bill which would prohibit 24-hour polling places, ban drop boxes, and stop drive-through voting, with the first major vote on the proposals expected later this week. That timeline is pushing some Democratic lawmakers toward calling for a second walkout to again stop the restrictions from moving forward like they did last May. Texas is among several states with GOP-controlled state houses where Republicans have rushed to enact strict voting laws in response to former President Donald Trump's false claims that the 2020 election was stolen from him. A second walkout by Texas Democrats, which some are describing as their best, if not only option, would mark a high-stakes escalation of their efforts to deny Republicans a major priority and in turn put more pressure on President Joe Biden to create more federal laws that would allow more people access to voting. Billionaire Richard Branson hurtled through space aboard his own winged rocket ship over the weekend, bringing astrotourism a step closer to reality and beating out his exceedingly richer rival, Jeff Bezos. The nearly 71-year-old Branson and 5 crewmates from the Virgin Galactic Space Tourism Company reached an altitude of 53.5 miles over the New Mexico desert. That was enough to experience 3 to 4 minutes of weightlessness and witness the curvature of the Earth. And then they glided back to home on a runway landing. The whole thing, it was just magical, a jubilant Branson said on return aboard the gleaming white space plane named Unity. The brief up and down flight, the space plane's portion, took only 15 minutes, or about as long as Alan Shepard's first U.S. space flight in 1961. It was a splashy and unabashedly commercial plug for Virgin Galactic, which plans to start taking paying customers on joyrides in space next year. A 27-year-old man has been charged in the fatal shooting of a Detroit firefighter at a Troy gas station following a suspected road rage incident. Terrell Josie was arraigned in Troy on a charge of open murder, felony possession of a firearm, and carrying a concealed weapon. The judge denied bond for Josie, and if convicted, he faces up to life in prison for the murder charge. Police allege Josie shot and killed Senior Lieutenant Francis Dombrowski of Rochester Hills. Officers were called to the parking lot of the Shell gas station on Rochester Road, and they found Dombrowski wounded. Police and paramedics administered aid, and Dombrowski was taken to a hospital where he later died of his injuries. A white man has been sentenced to 5 years in prison for attacking a black teen with a bike lock because of his race at a southeastern Michigan park. A judge in U.S. District Court in Detroit also ordered Lee Muat of Newport to serve 3 years of supervised release. He pleaded guilty in March to a federal hate crime after he was accused of striking Devin Freeland Jr. last year. Authorities have said Muat confronted a group of black teens at Sterling State Park Beach and repeatedly used racial slurs and said black people had no right to use the beach before striking Freeland and attempting to hit another teen. Freeland lost several teeth and suffered a fractured jaw as well as cuts to his face and mouth. The assault happened after two groups, one white, one black, exchanged words at the beach. The attack on Freeland sparked a brawl between the groups. More than 1 million Michiganders have entered the state's vaccine lottery. Governor Gretchen Whitmer announced the Michigan Shot to Win sweepstakes last week, offering more than $5 million in prizes and nearly $500,000 in scholarships. It's an effort to increase Michigan's COVID-19 vaccine rate. As of last week, there were more than 1 million applicants for the grand prize, and nearly 45,000 people signed up for the scholarship drawing. This is, like stated, it's an effort to get more people vaccinated, and we're hoping that you will be motivated to do this if you haven't already. And if you've already been vaccinated, you're eligible to apply. You want to go to michigan.gov for more information. Coming up, we'll be discussing the aftermath of the storms and the floods that occurred a few weeks ago. And when we come back after this break, I'll have you the latest updates, some numbers you can call, and what's next. So please stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Here's one more reason to get the COVID-19 vaccine. It's your shot to win. Anyone 18 years or older in Michigan vaccinated between December 1st, 2020 and July 30th, 2021 is now eligible to win millions in cash prizes, including $1 million jackpots and $50,000 daily prizes. And vaccinated students could win thousands in college scholarships. For eligibility details and to enter, go to mishottowin.com.
I'm joined today by Maureen Taylor and Louis Pisker to let you know about a new financial empowerment center located in the Wayne County Treasurer's Office.
Do you know someone, family or friends, that need help with finances? Do you know people having trouble making ends meet, especially with property taxes or other payments? The Detroit Financial Empowerment Center can help. Treasurer Sabri invites you to visit the new Financial Empowerment Center, 400 Monroe, on the 5th floor in downtown Detroit.
We've partnered with the Wayne County Treasurer's Office and the City of Detroit to provide free one-on-one financial counseling to help you address problems related to utility bills, property or income taxes, credit repair, and other financial matters. Our professional counselors can also help you plan your monthly budget and increase your credit score.
This service is available to all Wayne County residents. For free and private financial counseling, contact the center at 313-322-6222 and make an appointment today.
Justice for Mario Willis. Truth. Facts. Evidence. Mattered. Log into justiceformariowillis.com. Read for yourself.
Hi, excuse me, do you have anything for paint?
Straight down that aisle there.
All right, thank you.
Young lady, this here's what you need.
Ringmaster?
Ringmaster rubbing oil.
How does it work?
By promoting circulation since 1950. Massage it in for best results.
Ringmaster took care of my back pain.
Ringmaster got rid of my knee pain too.
Wow, it sounds like I'm late to the party. I'll take one.
Find Ringmaster at CVS, Davis Drugs, and other fine stores.
Good morning and welcome back to Highland Park Highlights. I'm glad you're joining with me this morning. We're talking about the aftermath. If you were out of town or you were unaware, back on the night of June 25th, Friday night into Saturday morning, the Highland Park and the other Metro Detroit area cities and localities, they received a massive amount of rainfall, which unfortunately caused a massive amount of flooding. A number of people by the thousands woke up to flooded basements, flooded lawns, those folks who live next to vacant lots, those also were submerged in water. And this may be coming late to the game because this was a couple of weeks ago, but we want to make sure that Highland Park residents are aware of things they should and should not do, as well as the number or numbers that they can contact for help. The first number I want to give is for Highland Park residents specifically, and that number is 313-459-1069. Again, that's 313-459-1069, and that's for Highland Park residents to call and seek some form of assistance in the cleanup or the aftermath and find out what's available as far as resources to assist those that suffered damage during these floods. Now, I was talking to the producer here a few moments ago, and I was just stating that my house personally did not get a lot of flooding water. It got about maybe 2 or 3 inches or maybe even 4, but as the water subsided, it left about 2 inches of this thick sewer sludge that I did not want to just take a power hose and rinse it back down the sewer. I wanted to make sure that I got that up because I wasn't sure if that would clog the drain and cause even more damage if it began to rain again, which we've had several rainfalls since then. Thankfully, I've not had any issues with the water since, but it took a moment to make an effort to clean that up. And there are some things that I want you to know that how you should respond if you find water, standing water in your basement. First of all, do not enter that water. That water could be charged, meaning you could suffer electrocution. If it's deep, there was a gentleman out in Dearborn lost his life. He went down to check in the basement, and they believe he slipped on the stairs. He was an elderly man and drowned because he had feet of water, 4 or 5 feet of water in his basement. So experts are advising those folks, let the water recede and go back down into the sewers. It may take a couple of days if it hasn't already. Once it's down, then you can go down and assess the damage. And I know as a kid with a mother that was meticulous about keeping her house clean, the first thing you want to do is go start cleaning up. That's not what you want to do with this particular instance. What you need to do first is pull out your camera, your cell phone, whatever that you can use to take video, photographs, or both to assess the damage that's been done now that the water is gone. Again, I'll use myself as an example. I ended up having to pull up carpet, remove paneling because it had spread against the wall, and I didn't want any mold. And there's also some things that I had on the floor where, you know, in your basement, you may have it as a man cave, you may have a finished basement. Well, mine was just a basement, and there were things on the floor in boxes, some were in bags. You know, you have clothing in the basement that you plan on putting into the washer, but you want to wait until you get a full load. All of that now has to be tossed because there's no way I'm going to think that that can be washed and rewashed or letting things dry out to see if they can be salvaged, because there's so much unknown. There's so much bacteria in this sewer water. I saw on television folks were out in the street walking flooded streets, and some had their jet skis and others were in canoes trying to reach their neighbors and things of that sort. Numerous vehicles were lost on the freeways. As I spoke about I-94, that freeway in particular literally buckled, and they had to replace lanes of that freeway, and that was just reopened over the weekend. So there were a number of things. This was not your, heavy storm and it just rained over a period of days. We had a month's worth of rain in a matter of hours. So with that being said, we realized that the infrastructure was just simply no match for the torrential rains, but we want to make sure that residents are safe. Residents do what they can to help clean out their basements. So once you've taken those photographs, the next thing is starting that effort of cleaning up. Now, as you see, I'm a pretty big guy. I'm a healthy guy, so I may need one or two people to help move if I had furniture in the basement or if there were appliances that no longer worked. But there are some folks that could be single people, they could be seniors, they may have physical challenges that may they're not able to do the work that needs to be done to successfully clean out their basements or whatever other room where the water came in. So we're asking that you be a neighbor and check on your neighbors, especially those that may not be able to pull these things out of the basement. And if you know of those folks that you trust and are willing to roll up their sleeves and assist, that can be a great assistance to your neighbors, because not everybody is able to go down there and pull up a sofa or pull up even a chair that's like a recliner. And even if they have things down there, I know a lot of folks, their basement is their storage, and we put everything in the basement. We got boxes that we want to keep put it in the basement. We have things that we may only use yearly, like a Christmas tree or holiday ornaments. You put them in the basement. All of those things now very likely will have to be tossed. So you want to make sure you're helping out, and we're asking that neighbors, if you have folks that can assist those in need, make sure you notify those you're coming to help, because we do have folks, and let me be very clear, and this is not to scare anyone, but when tragedies happen such as this, people come out to take advantage of those who have suffered a loss. They'll come knock on the door and they say, hey, I'm from the city, or hey, I'm from the state or the county. Hey, I'm from FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency. Be sure to let that homeowner know, if you're going to come over and assist, who's all coming in the house, and that they go straight to the area that was distressed or damaged and help remove the items that need to be placed out for pickup from the city. The other thing you want to make sure is checking the items that are down there. Most houses, the furnace, the water heater, and even the washer and dryer are all in the basement. Some of these pieces of appliances may not have survived the flooding. Sometimes you can let things dry out and see if it's safe to fire up, or you may want to call someone either from DTE or a licensed plumber or electrician, and they can come out and check your equipment. I did lose power in a part of my house, even though I have electricity in other rooms of the house. So I was told right away that My problem is going to be more of a circuit breaker fuse problem, as opposed to the thousands and tens of thousands of folks who lost power during those storms. And even the following storms, several hundred, about over 100,000 more people lost power. So there are a number of things that I personally have to do, and I know other folks have to do. I spoke before, I got about 4 inches of water in my basement. Some folks had 4 feet. One lady told me that when she opened her basement door, now she has 10 steps that allows her to go into the basement. The water was up to the top stair, so she quickly closed the door and placed towels at the door so that the water would not start to enter her kitchen or the rear of her house. That's going to be a lot of damage that was done. I met a lady, she has solar panels on her house where she saves money every year because the sunlight powers her house and the specific things that she has connected to that power source. Well, the solar panels, when they collect the energy from the sun, it would go down into the storage battery in the basement, and because the water got so high it hit the battery that was attached to the wall, and she told me that's going to be about an $11,000 replacement that's going to have to be done, because you can't just go to the store and buy a battery to put in there. And also because of the wiring, all of that may need to be replaced. So these are the things, and these are the reasons why we state, please make sure you're taking photographs before you start cleaning up. Some folks will clean it up and then they'll take a picture of everything they've thrown out, but that's fine. But most of the insurance agencies and most of the places that are like FEMA, they're going to want to see, or they may want to see, videos of the direct aftermath of the storms. When we come back, we're going to talk more about how you can make your basement cleaner, and once you have the stuff removed, and other things that you will need to do. But before we go to break, I'm going to give you that number once again. Well, we'll just wait, and after we come back from break, well, I'll go ahead and give it to you now. The number again is 313-459-1069. Again, for Highland Park residents, this number is 313-459-1069. And that's the number you want to call and inquire about, are there any resources that can be given out. They may have efforts that you can reach the Red Cross, United Way, and other organizations you may want to contact on your own. But that's the number you want to start with. And when we come back, we'll have more updates on how you can recover and restore your basement and other items other rooms that were damaged in your home from these storms. So grab a cup of coffee, come right back, and we'll be waiting right here.
Can I ask you a question?
Why did you get your kids vaccinated?
It was hard for them to social distance, to be isolated from their friends.
I want them to get back to school and sports games. So as a pediatrician, I recommend the vaccine to everyone I know.
The boys lost a former teammate and classmate who was only 20 years old. It's been a devastating year.
We want to get back to normalcy. Our daughter is really looking forward to being with her friends, being a kid.
This is K-Mac with K-Mac Transportation. Download the Boom app.
The Boom app is available on all iPhones and Androids. We operate 24/7, a better transportation service in the metropolitan Detroit area. Give the Boom app a try today. For more information about Boom, call 313-765-6245. 313-765-6245.
This is K-Mac, and I want to thank the community for downloading the Boom app.
313-765-6245.
Hi, this is LaWanda.
This is RJ Watkins.
Coming to you to bring you some information about the #1 detox in the nation, Lemon Burn. Lemon Burn helps to turn the fat into fit. It's for you, a happier, healthier you, because you know healthy is the new beautiful. An all-natural way to improve your health. It promotes a healthy digestive system, attacks and reduces belly fat, as well as gives you energy. And to get yours today, call 313-868-6612.
Don't forget to exercise and eat right.
Be part of the biggest citywide community service day in the nation, right here in Detroit. The 15th annual Arise Detroit Neighborhoods Day, Saturday, August 7th, and neighborhoods all over the city. Be part of the Stay Safe, Creating Your Space campaign. Register your church, community group, or block club today. Have your volunteers vaccinated and wear face masks. Host small outside events such as school supply giveaways and small beautification projects. Register at www.arisedetroit.org or phone 313-921-1955.
Good morning and welcome back to Highland Park Highlights. If you're just joining us, we've been discussing how to recover from the aftermath of the June 25th and 26th storms. There was massive amounts of flooding. Some areas got up to 7 inches of waterfall. Before we get to that, I do again want to stress the need to get vaccinated. The governor has announced a new sweepstakes where if you're vaccinated, you can enter into these sweepstakes where there's going to be millions of dollars that you can become a millionaire basically for getting vaccinated. If you're a young person, a child has been between the age of 12 and 17, they're eligible for scholarships for college. So these are incentives, but I want to stress the real incentive is avoiding catching the COVID-19 virus. This is a serious matter. I know people have been going out and they've been gathering in small groups and large groups, and we see on television the sports arenas and baseball fields, they're just crammed with folks. Please do not believe for a moment that this pandemic has ended. The pandemic is there, the pandemic is real, so I'm imploring that you please consider getting vaccinated. And if you have gotten vaccinated, be sure to enter into the sweepstakes. I think it's a great opportunity. I know that Ohio is offering $1 million, and Michigan is always going to do better than Ohio. So the governor that is making $5 million available for those to get vaccinated. That's the incentive that you have there. So even though the more important part is that you're vaccinated and that you're not infecting others, but you could very likely become a millionaire just by entering into the sweepstakes. So you want to go and check out michigan.gov, that's the state's website, for more information on that, as well as where you can go to get vaccinated. So anyway, so back to the main story. We've talked about how now that the flood waters have receded, now is the time to talk about how do we recover and how do we get back to what even is close to being normal. And again, the Highland Park residents need to make sure they call 313-459-1069. That's help for Highland Park residents. That number again is 313-459-1069. And we talked about taking pictures, and we talked about making sure that you're showing the damage instead of just being able to tell someone what was in there. Because if someone were to come out and say, hey, I don't see anything in your basement, then and your trash has already been picked up, it's going to be hard pressed to show them, unless you have receipts, everything that was in your basement. And like I said before, I use my basement for storage of a variety of things, and I know I don't have those receipts for every purchase that I made. So I want to make sure, and I implore you as well, take either photographs, videos, or both. You can walk through and show what your basement looked like, and if you have before pictures, if you may have had something going on in your basement and someone took pictures of a party or a game day or game night or whatever the case may have been, that can also show what was there and then what was lost. The other thing you want to make sure is that you contact your homeowner's insurance. Now I did, and this is just what I was told, so you check it out for yourself. There was an insurance expert on a Zoom call that I attended, and she made it very clear that everyone needs to contact their homeowner's insurance. But she said a few things, and I want to make sure I share those with you. Number one, flood insurance is most likely only available for those who live in a floodplain, a designated floodplain. And that's designated by the government, and they allow you to have flood insurance for those particular areas. But you may have suffered damage. I know that there was a leak in my roof because the torrential rain just kept beating down on it. It didn't leak into the entire house, but a specific area where there was water coming in. And then I'm in the process of been pulling up carpet and looking at getting replacements. But again, I'm taking pictures before all of that occurs. So you want to make sure you contact your homeowner's insurance. But when I talked to the expert and the question was posed, well, what's the difference between flooding and water coming up through the sewer? Flooding is when the water comes into the house. And she said that can come in through the walls. It can come in if there's a cracked window or the rain causes a window to crack, or something will cause the water to come into my house, like I stated, a leaky roof, and it started to just spread throughout that room. That would be flooding. In my basement, the water came up from the sewers, and though I thought that was considered flooding, that's not considered flooding. That's sewage discharge that came back into the house because either there was too much rain that the infrastructure could not handle it, the street drains were clogged with leaves and other debris, so there was nowhere for the water to go, so it came up through the sewers. It could be a number of issues where the water came in from the sewer lines in my basement. So I have to make sure to see if I have coverage for that as well. So you want to make sure you contact them and make sure that you have those photographs for that you can show them the damage that occurred in your domicile. The other thing is when you decide, okay, now it's time to clean it up. You've gotten the things out of the house that were soaked and damaged, and they have, it could be just rainwater, it could be a combined mixture of sewer water and rain, or it could be just straight sewer water coming up from your drains. It's been advised you don't want to take chances on that. Some people can say, oh, I can clean that for you, but it's hard to clean wood. And most furniture has a wooden frame, and once that bacteria gets into the wood, as well as the cloth or leather that was covering the upholstery, you pretty much want to get rid of that, because that can turn to mold, and then can quickly turn to a more dangerous black mold that can be harmful if inhaled by humans. So that is why it's been required, it's been advised that everyone that has had sewer water or the dirty rainwater coming into their homes to just throw those items out and seek to get compensated or reimbursed through your homeowner's insurance. But once the stuff is out, then you want to get rid of whatever the remnants of that is. Now, just because you took out the carpet, just because you've thrown out the furniture, it doesn't mean that the worst is over and you can just rinse the floor down and the walls down and be on your merry way, because, as I stated before, there's the danger of bacteria that can cause black mold that can be very harmful. So you want to make sure that if you have anything, I had a wooden frame where I was setting up to put up some drywall to separate the two rooms. The one side had the washer, dryer, furnace, and water heater. The other side was open to if I wanted to come down and relax or make that into an office or even turn it into a man cave. But the fact of the matter is, now that that stuff is out, I had paneling on the walls that was wood. All of that has to come off. The concrete, you want to make sure that if there was any kind of peeling paint, you can scrape that off. If the water rose high in your house, like I said, I had inches, some folks had feet, you want to maybe look at getting someone professionally to do that. I saw the basements in the aftermath where the paint began to pucker, meaning it looked like it was bubbling on the wall. So that meant it had to be scraped off, and then those walls had to be cleaned as well. And what I was told was you don't need some special kind of commercial cleanser. I was told that anything that you use bleach can clean these bacteria spores. Hot soapy water, if you use something like Pine Sol or Lysol for when you mop your floors, that can be used. And you can toss in a couple of caps or a cup full of bleach in there. But you really want to make sure that you're getting into these walls, the cement and the concrete. If you have drywall, you pretty much want to get that removed. If you, like I said, if you have paneling like I had, you want to get that removed as well. Those things can't be washed away. Even if you've cleaned it and you no longer smell the sewer smell that was left behind from the storms, you have to make sure that the smaller non-visual remnants of that storm, as I stated, bacteria spores and things of that sort, have been killed in your properties. And the only way to do that is to make sure that you're using a strong cleanser and hot water to make sure you're putting these things to death, basically. You want to kill the spores. So you want to make sure you're mopping and washing and scrubbing walls, floors, anything that's left in the basement. Again, because the water got up to a certain inch, I have wooden stairs. I may have to cut off the lower stair because that was actually in the water. And the carpet that I pulled up, there was tile under there. I had to scrape the tile up because it can get under those. And trust me when I tell you, I know of the heavy load of work that's ahead of me, so I'm letting you know to be aware for yourself as well. Don't assume because the tile looks like it's in place that it's okay, because it more than likely that because that water sat there for minutes, hours, whatever the case may be, and in some cases days, it would be advised that you just go ahead and get that floor removed, cleaned, and replaced. The other thing you want to make sure is as you're washing, that you're rinsing off your floor and you're making sure that's going down the sewer. I noticed that once the water subsided, I had areas where there were pockets of water in different areas of my house, and I was not expecting that because I thought my floor was pretty level. So I may have to look at getting that fixed as well if I decide to do carpet again, if I decide to put tile down, or if I decide just to use an acrylic covering on the floor that doesn't have to be replaced. Because I know a friend of mine, his basement, he painted his floor, but the paint, because it sat under that water for such a long time, had begun to peel. So he began scraping the paint, and he's now deciding if he's going to paint again, if he's going to consider putting down a certain type of tile and things of that sort. I know also that homeowners are now looking at putting their appliances that are in the basement on stands. And that's something you may want to consider, because I know a friend of mine, she had her washer and dryer on these wooden platforms that were about maybe 1 or 2 feet high. And fortunately that saved her appliances, but because they were made of wood, she's got to throw those out and now go and get some that she can build with wood, but may want to have them coated in a plastic covering or a laminate covering so that it is waterproof. Or you can even put a sealant on there and put a clear coat of polyurethane so that water doesn't seep into the wood. There are a number of things that you can do. You can go and ask your local hardware store, if somebody's there, what you can do to build and how to prop up your appliances so that if this happens again, heaven forbid, that you won't suffer the loss you may have suffered currently with the large number of appliances that had to be thrown out. A number of folks have mounted their televisions to the wall, but if that wall suffered water damage, then the safety of that television may be compromised, or that television may have actually gotten water damage as well. But if it did not, you want to make sure that anything connected to that, if you have a cable box, if you have a entertainment box like an Xbox or a PlayStation, you want to make sure that was high enough, and you don't want to plug those things in and turn them on unless you know those are safe. But again, I've been advised, so I'm advising you, I would just toss those, because those units are not made waterproof. So if they receive water damage, that pretty much means it's done. So you want to focus on what can be salvaged, what can be saved, what can be cleaned out and reused. But for the most part, you want to make sure you're keeping the items that you know have been damaged, keeping them out of the house and getting them out of the house as soon as possible. We're going to take another break, and when we come back, we'll have some more tips and more suggestions for Highland Park residents and those of you watching. Again, I want to give you the number to call for Highland Park residents looking for some type of assistance or resources following the floods of 2 weeks ago. And that number again is 313-459-1069, 313-459-1069, and we'll be right back.
Feedback. Hi, this is Theo Broughton.
And I am the BD Pinda.
Inviting you to join us each Monday at 9 a.m. for Feedback,
A positive image production by Hood Research.
Encourage others to tune in each Monday on
Comcast Detroit, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, watch WHPR TV Network anywhere.
And take us along with you.
Feedback.
I'm Wayne County Treasurer Eric Sabri, encouraging all taxpayers to please take advantage of the several payment options available.
You can pay online by visiting the Wayne County Treasurer's Office website. Paying online is easy and convenient.
You can also download the mobile app and pay with your smartphone.
You can pay at one of 70 kiosks located throughout Wayne County.
And yes, you can always still send in your payments using the U.S. Postal Service.
If you have to visit our office in person, you must make an appointment by going to treasurer.waynecounty.com. It only takes a few minutes. Facial covering or mask is required and social distancing is observed. Your health and safety is very important to us. You can also email our office at taxinfo@waynecounty.com or call us at 313-224-5990.
Not only can you listen, you can watch. 107.3 WVIE, Virgin Islands. Have your own show and be seen and heard in the Virgin Islands, Detroit, and worldwide. RadioWeCanSee.com, a Watkins Broadcasting Company. Block time is available. Call now, 313-868-6612.
I'm Attorney Carl Collins III. Hello, I'm Attorney Carl Collins III. If you've been injured and you need help, make the best call on your worst day. Call me at 855-CAR-HIT-YOU. That's 855-CAR-HIT-YOU.
Welcome back. My name is Rod Liggins, and you're watching Highland Park Highlights, and we're talking today about the cleanup after the storm. And I know that sounds, sometimes people relate that to the storms of life and things of that sort, but these were actually the storms from the clouds that came a couple of weeks ago, and they hammered Highland Park and Metro Detroit and a lot of other places throughout the country, and there has been a massive cleanup effort. Before we get into that, again, I want to make sure that I am asking and imploring and requesting that you do get vaccinated for the COVID-19 virus. There are a number of locations that are offering the vaccinations. They're free. You don't have to pay anything. You just go in, you can make the appointment, or you can do walk-ins. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is a one-shot deal. You go in and get the shot, and they ask you to just stay there for about 10 or 15 minutes to see if you've had any adverse side effects, which have been minimal as far as I've known. Or with the Moderna and Pfizer vaccine, you're being asked to, that's a 2-dosage program where you would go in and get your first dose, and then about 2 to 3 weeks later, you would go in and get the second dose. The focus is making sure that everyone that is eligible to get the vaccine takes the vaccine. And this is across the board. This is nothing about they've been doing it in folks as young as 12 years old, and the higher end, there is no limit. You can be 100, 112. You can still get the vaccine. The focus is making sure that we flatten the curve. We're well beyond 50 or even 60% of the state, but we need to make sure that we get those numbers even higher. I know the president himself, President Joe Biden, he wanted 70% of the nation vaccinated by July 1st. Well, we missed that mark, but we still can get vaccinated, but we have to make that effort to do that on our own. But there's also a sweepstakes where if you've been vaccinated, you can enter your information in on the state's website, michigan.gov, and you could become a millionaire just because you took the steps to get vaccinated. They have $5 million in prizes available, and even for the teens, they have over $500,000 in scholarships available for those young people that got vaccinated. So there's something for everyone. So those are great incentives, but we want to make sure that you understand the best incentive is to get vaccinated so that you do not suffer the effects of COVID-19, because I've known people personally that have been diagnosed on Tuesday and they were dead by the weekend. And this is just how dangerous this virus is. And we've heard about a new Delta variant that is out there. It is in this nation. It's in this state. And these are not things to scare. I always like to inform, and I'm not going to try to sugarcoat things that really need to be told in a serious tone. We'll talk about a lot of things that are fun in this city that we can do and how we can put the neighbor back in neighborhood. But one of the main things is making sure we're safe and healthy. And the best way to do that is by getting yourself vaccinated. Now, as we were talking before about how do we recover from the massive storms that we've seen over the past few weeks, for Highland Park residents, again, I need you to write this number down and share it with your neighbors. The number that you need to contact the city is 313-459-1069. Again, that number is 313-459-1069, and that's the number you can call to get some help from the city of Highland Park. So we've talked about the fact that you should not go into standing water in the basement. Let the water fully recede. There may be that thick sewer residue that has come up. That was in my house more so than the water, and it was very thick where I needed a shovel to get it up because I did not want to just rinse it back down into the drains. You also need to make sure you're taking pictures and photographs or videos of your property before you take it out and leave it at the curb for pickup. These are some of the things that you're going to need to show what you have. If you have receipts for the things that were damaged, that's fantastic. That is a great start on to ways that you can start the reimbursement process. But the main thing is you want to make sure that you have record of what was in that basement before the floods came, how the basement looked once the flooding came and then the water receded, and then you document again what you had to throw away because you did not want something contaminated with possible bacteria that could lead to mold or even worse, black mold. So those are some of the things that we've been talking about. And again, as I stated before, you need to contact your homeowner's insurance. Whoever your provider is, give them a call. It doesn't guarantee that everything is going to be replaced, but that's probably the best way to get the reimbursement process started so that you can rebuild your home if the items that were lost were covered under your plan. The other thing is FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency. They have been in the state of Michigan since last week, and they are going around taking a look. They may be knocking on your door, but they've been going out and they've been assessing the damage based on what they've seen that's been thrown out. They've driven through the streets that have, even 11, 12 days later, There's still some streets that have standing water. They've spoken with homeowners, and this is the thing that I want to stress, and that's what I talked about earlier as it relates to volunteers. If you don't know who's coming to your home, just because someone knocks on your door and say that they're there to help you, that does not mean they're there to help. You should ask for identification. You should ask to see what they're wearing. They should have some type of logo on their shirt or something that says they're from the city, they're from the county, they're from the state, they're from FEMA, the federal agencies. I saw some groups that were out. There was state police with the federal folks from FEMA. There were folks from the county that were out. Everybody had some form of uniform on. Everybody had on some form of ID, and they were gladly showing it to the homeowners so that before they even open the door, and if you do not feel safe, not only should you not open the door, if they refuse to leave, you should call 911, because we know there are some folks out here, whenever a tragedy strikes, they want to take advantage of that. And we saw that when a number of the cars that were left on freeways or have been submerged in water, when folks went to pick them up from the places where they were towed, some of them had to pay in excess of $700-800 just to get their cars back. Now, according to the state of Michigan, they said this was legal, but it just seems like they were taking advantage of a very bad situation. And we know up front there are folks who will try to do break-in and enterings whether there's a storm or not, but this just seems to give folks an added shadow to hide behind, as if they're assisting those who are elderly or assisting the single moms or even single dads that they think they want to help. They're assisting the elderly or the disabled, but in reality they're there to rob and do harm. So just make sure whomever comes to your door, whoever comes to say they're there to offer assistance, you want to make sure that you know who that is coming into your home, and they should be focused on going directly to where the distressed area or areas are in your house. They shouldn't be walking around into rooms or asking can they go into rooms that had nothing to do, that were not damaged or impacted by the flooding waters. So those are the things that we want to be aware of. And I spoke about putting neighbor back in neighborhood. It would be great if folks on the same block could rally together and help those that we know are unable to do this. If they're, like I said before, a single person can't lift a couch and carry it outside of the basement, bring it up those stairs, out the door, and out to the front of the house to be picked up in the bulk trash pickup. So everybody's going to need help. So I'm asking everyone to be of help in some way to somebody, and make sure that you let them know, if you don't know your neighbors, this would be a great time to get to know them, because there's such a need that you would have to make sure someone is helping someone else, because you don't want a house where someone who's already living under what may be dire straits are now having to suffer with the stench, suffer of the growing of black mold in their home and things of that sort, so that everyone can get back to a sense of normalcy or a way of having a clean property that they can reside in. As I spoke about with FEMA, right now the officials have come in from Chicago, the regional office, and they cover all of what I would call the Big Ten states. They cover Michigan, Minnesota, Illinois, Iowa, Ohio, Indiana. They make a point that everyone in those states, if there is some type of damage, they go out and assess. They go out and make sure that if there are federal resources available, that you are exposed to those so that you can use them to get your house back in order. Well, once they have done their assessment, they will then go back and make a report to the president. The governor has already made a request that she is seeking federal assistance to help those who suffered loss. So there has been an emergency declaration made by the mayor, by the county, and by the governor. So now we await the declaration from the president with hopes that there will be federal funding that can assist those who are in need of restoring things like furnaces and water heaters, washers and dryers, and things of that sort. And I had a chance to meet with a congresswoman over the weekend, both Congresswomen Rashida Tlaib and Brenda Lawrence, and they were reminding folks that FEMA is not an insurance. FEMA doesn't say, oh, you lost a sofa, okay, we're going to get you another sofa. You lost $10,000 in clothes, we're going to give you $10,000 for your clothing. That's pretty much what your insurance policy would do. So you want to make sure you contact your homeowner's insurance and have them come out and assess what damage was suffered, what things that you can make claims on, and what things that they tell you that are not covered based on the insurance policy that you have. This also may be a good time that you may want to reassess and look at getting additional coverage, because we don't know when the next storm will come, be it rain or snow, but we live in Michigan and we know we get the weather, we get all types of weather. Every day is not sunny like in California or Florida. We don't really get hurricanes, but the fact of the matter is we get torrential rains. We've had tornadoes, not necessarily in the city proper, but there are folks that their properties may suffer damage as that. So we want to be aware and make sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure that everyone knows about the resources. And we want you to be neighborly, not only help them clean it out, but if you're aware of some resources, share those with your neighbors. Our time is winding down, but I want to give you our number one more time, the number for Highland Park residents to call so that they can find out what they can do. The phone number again is 313-459-1069, and this is help for Highland Park residents. Again, you can contact 313-459-1069. I want to thank you for starting off your Monday, starting off your week, and I hope you have a great one and a blessed one. But be sure to come back next Monday, 8 a.m., for the next episode of Highland Park Highlights. Have a great week.